Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. I'm going to talk about some of the latest developments in the Charlie Kirk trial. This Charlie Kirk preliminary hearing, the trial, everything, all the evidence being introduced is so important. You know, Charlie Kirk was the first non-elected official political assassination since Martin Luther King in 1958 or 1968. And, you know, in 1968, when Martin Luther King was assassinated by James Earl Ray, without doing a Google search, okay, without doing any internet search, tell me everything you know about James Earl Ray, the Martin Luther King assassin. Just think about it. Just say it out loud. Think to it. What do you know about it? And do you know what you know about James Earl Ray? You know nothing. You know nothing about James Earl Ray. And Martin Luther King, and this is why the Charlie Kirk trial, thankfully in Utah, they televise trials so people can see what's happening. It's live streaming all over the internet. James Earl Ray died in prison, an old man, and for decades throughout his entire life, there were conspiracy theories and all kinds of things about James Earl Ray, and people would even say that he wasn't the assassin of Martin Luther King. In fact, as twisted as things got with that, Martin Luther King the third, who's the son of Martin Luther King Jr., he went to prison in the 90s, met with James Earl Ray in prison, went up to him, and his first words were, "Did you kill my daddy?" I mean, that's how nuts things got, because there were so many different theories and people were going off on wild tangents. So we know nothing about. Also in 1968, Sirhan Sirhan assassinated Bobby Kennedy, right? What do you know about that? Well, one thing we've come to learn from Bobby Kennedy Jr., who's in the Trump cabinet, is that Bobby Kennedy Jr. says that his dad was not assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan, that there's a lot of other things involved I don't want to get sidetracked on right now. But what do you know about Sirhan Sirhan or the Bobby Kennedy assassination? Little to next to nothing. You know, so we could do this all day with these assassinations, even, you know, President Kennedy, President Lincoln, all these assassinations. And what's been happening since Charlie Kirk was assassinated last year, it's mainly been Candace Owens has been saying just stupid stuff. Let me play this one clip of Candace Owens talking about the Charlie Kirk assassin. Let me cue it up here. And then we'll play. I mean, this is just stupid, the things that she says.
The alleged shooter, you think they're a patsy?
Of course, they're a patsy. I mean, come on. It's just so dumb. He wasn't even on campus that day. They can't show us one clear image, not even one. All of these cameras, Turning Point has everything in 4K. So shouldn't you have caught the shooter on the roof in 4K? Like, you had cameras everywhere that day. Every inch of that campus is covered.
So do you think that was someone else that was running across?
Absolutely.
It wasn't Tyler?
Absolutely. Okay. Someone that just, I don't even know.
Okay, yeah, all right. You know, so you get the idea. So every one of her wackadoodle conspiracy theories has just been neutralized, and we haven't even gotten to the big evidence that's being reported. And it's important because the assassin, you know, Charlie Kirk, the second most important person in the MAGA movement, number one, of course, is the president. This assassination of Charlie Kirk is up there with Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and the rest, because this was a political assassination to stop one of the most effective conservative activists in the history of this country. And Candace Owens and others have been just saying stupid, bizarre, perverted things about everything that's gone on here. And what that does is it destroys the historical record. You know, if you study history, as I've done, and still do, history, so much of history comes from the media. It used to come from the newspapers, but the media is where so much of the historical records come from. Television, newspapers, and now the internet, okay? And when you're studying history, what's important to study history is to have primary sources. Primary sources are sources that gave information about the historical event as it was happening, right? So if you were on the beach of Normandy during the Normandy invasion and you had some records or that would be a primary source, okay? An interview with a soldier from Normandy would be a primary source. So what's happened with Candace Owens and other nutbags is, since they're commenting in real time, 50, 100 years from now, her words could be considered a primary source of historical record. And if this trial was not televised and it was only in transcript form, we wouldn't have video of it. Here we are in 2026. We wouldn't have video of it. Now we're going to have video of the entire Charlie Kirk trial all the way until the end. And that's important for the historical record. You know, the MAGA movement is one of the most important movements of activism this country has ever had. You know, the MAGA movement, while it's a political movement, I also consider, I've talked about this a lot on the program, I consider the MAGA movement not just a political movement, but also a civil rights movement. And maybe the largest civil rights movement in the history of the United States, because and President Trump's a civil rights leader, because the MAGA movement is leading all of the American people to freedom from the oppressive deep state, the fake news media, and the permanent Washington class. And Charlie Kirk is such an important part of that movement, the MAGA movement, and he was assassinated because of the incredible work he was doing to solidify the MAGA movement as the new permanent Republican Party. And to have what happened to him perverted with bizarro conspiracy theories, it damages not just everything, you know, our movement, the politics, the time, the historical record. It really truly wipes away why Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So these things are so important, and we're so lucky that the trial itself is being televised. Because when it's in video form, it's there. People can see it, they can hear it, you know. And in this day and age, people need to be able to see and hear. They need the video, they need the audio and the video. And if it's just like in federal courts, as an example, there's no TV cameras in the federal court, and unless people can see and hear it in a video form, things like this, it's like it didn't even happen. And if this were a federal trial instead of a state level trial, and there were no cameras in the courtroom, Candace Owens and her nonsense would be continuing all day, every day, forever. And now we're going to have everything. And the evidence that's already being presented, I don't like to say his name. I'm going to go through an article today that goes through it, so I might say his name a couple times. I try not to. But the assassin, he had a bag of clothes to change clothes. They've got his fingerprints on the weapon. He left a note that his boyfriend found that said he was going to kill Charlie Kirk. He told multiple people that he killed Charlie Kirk. He even said he regretted killing. He wished he hadn't killed Charlie Kirk. All this stuff. So we've already, just today, we got like 4 or 5 times where he said he killed Charlie Kirk. And so this is very important. So I'd like to go through this article. This is in the Daily Mail. And you know what's going on now is not the trial. A lot of people call it, this is the preliminary hearing that's going on, right? You know, the both sides are, that's how Erica Kirk's attorneys were able to interject today. This is about, in the preliminary, what evidence is going to be allowed and all of that. So That's what's being decided right now. This is not the trial. It's a preliminary hearing. And when the actual trial starts, and it's a more formal trial, that's when people around the country are really going to be really following that. I don't know if the mainstream media will carry the actual trial. They've got an excuse not to carry this because it's preliminary. When the actual trial happens, the mainstream media are not going to want to carry it because they don't want Charlie Kirk remembered in a sympathetic way. All right? Let's just be honest about it. That's what that's all about. Okay, but anyway, the preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson, the Charlie Kirk assassin, heard bombshell testimony from the assassin's transgendered lover and roommate today. They were shown a video, which I may show a clip of it. The video was from a police interview of Lance Twiggs in April 26th this year by the police in Utah when he was grilled over the aftermath of Kirk's assassination at Utah Valley University on September 10th last year. In the footage, Twiggs said he first met Robinson in person in 23 when they moved in as roommates and they began dating roughly 2 months later. He recalled on the morning Kirk was assassinated, Robinson left early in the morning and claimed he had to work a long shift. He said he didn't hear from Robinson again until 11 p.m. that night when he told him to look under his keyboard to find a handwritten note that read, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it," according to court filings. See, again, this preliminary hearing, and much of what we're seeing is the judge deciding what evidence is going to be allowed for the jury. Twiggs, that's the boyfriend, recalled Robinson returning to their home by the next morning and said he was pacing around the home while avoiding questions about Kirk's assassination. Twiggs claimed Robinson eventually admitted to the assassination, began crying, and told Twiggs he wished he hadn't done it. So there he is. He confessed. Robinson said he was going to go to his parents to turn himself in. Twiggs was vaulted into national infamy after prosecutors alleged that Robinson left him the confession as well as text about plans to hide the murder weapon. Authorities say Twiggs quickly cooperated with investigators and offered his DNA for testing, which was allegedly found alongside Robinson's DNA on a towel wrapped around the rifle. So I guess he took a dirty towel. Twiggs also provided messages Robinson had texted in which the suspected murderer said he believed Kirk spread too much hate. In his police interview shown at Thursday's hearing today, Twiggs said he was not especially interested in politics and said he and Robinson never previously discussed Charlie Kirk before the shooting. And that's something. He said Robinson would occasionally rant about Donald Trump and Republicans, but said the extent of their discussions about LGBTQ rights was about legislation the president was pushing. When asked about engravings found on bullets at the shooting scene, Twiggs said Robinson had told him he was going on a hunting trip and asked for an engraving tool for the expedition. Twiggs said Robinson had talked about the hunting trip in general for months, then about a month before the shooting started talking about engraving bullets. Investigators have claimed to have found bullet casings engraved with political messages in the gun, including one that read, "Hey fascist, catch." Prosecutors pushed to release Twiggs' police interview video as they allege Robinson assassinated Kirk because he was upset over the influencer's conservative political views. Twiggs was granted limited immunity in the case, meaning the statements he made to investigators cannot be used against him by prosecutors. And they got all the text messages and everything. Poor Erica Kirk sitting through all this. She's going to have a long year ahead of her. After Twiggs' video statement to the police was played, prosecutors presented text messages allegedly sent between Robinson and Twiggs after Kirk was killed. The first message shows Robinson telling Twiggs to drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard. Twiggs replied, "What? You're joking, right? You weren't the one who did it, right?" To which Robinson allegedly replied, "I am. I'm sorry." So he confessed another confession that he gave. Robinson's message continued. "I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get, but there's one vehicle lingering." Robinson allegedly then discussed trying to get rid of the rifle used to shoot Kirk, writing, If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. See, I mean, it's just nonstop confessions. Plus, they've got the evidence, too, that they collected. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully, they haven't moved on. I haven't seen anything in the news about them finding it. We'll update you by midnight. Twiggs then asked Robinson how long he'd been planning the shooting, to which he replied, a bit over a week. Authorities said Twiggs quickly cooperated with investigators and offered his DNA for testing. And this week, prosecutors said both Twiggs and Robinson's DNA were found on a towel wrapped around the murder weapon. In the alleged confession note, which Twiggs confirmed finding in his interview with police, Robinson referred to him by his chosen name, Luna, instead of Lance. All right. These are weird guys. I mean, you know. If you were reading this per my text, then I am so sorry. I left the house this morning on a mission and set an auto text, the note read, per court filings. I am likely dead or facing a lengthy prison sentence. I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I took it. I don't know if I will or have succeeded, but I had hoped to make it home to you. I wish we could have lived in a world where this did not feel necessary. See, so more confessions. I mean, this guy confessed to his boyfriend, I don't know, I've lost track, at least half a dozen times. I wish I could have stayed for you and lived our lives together. Debate over showing the video led to a lengthy back and forth as the defense attempted to block the recorded statements and force the suspect's former lover to testify in person, which would have allowed cross-examination. Yesterday, the judge said he would allow the video to be played, but 15 minutes would be redacted. It's unclear what was on the redacted portion of the footage. Let me see if there's anything else here. And it goes into some background as he was growing up. But anyway, what Candace Owens has said here is just totally disproven several times over, just with the one witness in the preliminary, the boyfriend.
The shooter, or the alleged shooter, you think they're a patsy?
Of course, they're a patsy. I mean, come on, it's so dumb. He wasn't even on campus that day. They can't show us one clear image, not even one. All of these cameras, Turning Point has everything in 4K. So shouldn't you have caught the shooter on the roof in 4K? Like, you had cameras everywhere that day. Every inch of that campus
So do you think
covered.
that was someone else that was running across?
Absolutely.
It wasn't Tyler?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So,
oh boy. Okay. So, you know, with Candace Owens, there's a mixed bag of nuts in that mind. There's no doubt about it. You know, some of the reasons she does this, obviously, there's a lot of jealousy, okay? She's jealous of Erica Kirk. She would like to be the grieving widow. And she also, I think, feels owed. She should be the front person at Turning Point. And, you know, there was a time in the past where that may have been the case, but that was a long time ago. So she's bitter about all of that. And she's also a clout chaser, right? I mean, so, you know, she's always chasing views and clicks and views and everything else on every topic you can imagine, and taking bizarre positions on everything. I'm not going to go through it at all, but there's an audience for the garbage that she spews, sadly. And when she goes on these rants of just making things up, people believe it. And a lot of people believe it because they're sick and twisted, but a lot of people believe it just because they want to. I will take some calls, but try to be respectful with what we're talking about. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free 888-465-2631, and it's pinned in the live chat as well. Here's a little bit from the preliminary hearing today in Utah.
Right. You talked about the note that he left. I want to bring this up, and I should say that
this is from
these text messages that we've been looking at here.
Today's hearing
are Bates number 54. Okay. The notes have been titled 16.3 with a note, and this is Bates number 58. Do you recognize that on the screen there?
Yeah.
What do you recognize it as?
That was the note under his keyboard that he was referring to in the first text of that chain.
Okay, so where did you find this?
on his desk underneath his computer keyboard.
It's the boyfriend.
And I assume you read it.
Yeah.
And then what did you do with it after you read it?
I believe I just put it back down on the desk after I took a picture of it.
Okay. And again, the time you read it was probably around 11 o'clock or so on the 10th.
Yes.
The night of September 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And did you ever see that again after you placed it back on his desk?
No, I don't think I did.
And that was a desk in his bedroom?
Yes.
And that's a separate bedroom than your bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so his lover's testifying against him. I mean, and it's damning. And today, if you saw the assassin in the courtroom, it seems to me that as he's obviously a nutcase. All right, anybody that does anything like this is crazy. Being crazy doesn't mean you get a free pass, you know. But today, it seemed to me he realized there's no getting out of this. I don't think he realized how much evidence there was. And he probably follows some of the kooky nonsense that Candace Owens and others throw out there. So he probably has figured over time that, oh, well, you know, there's reasonable doubt here. You know, people convince themselves of things when they're in these types of situations. But, you know, the main thing is, you know, we used to have this, before Elon Musk bought Twitter, there was this Twitter mob, right? Bill O'Reilly started that, the Twitter mob. He came up with that label. And, you know, they were just nasty. And Elon, when he bought Twitter and turned it into X, the Twitter mobs kind of disappeared and they've scattered. You know, a lot of them, I guess, went to Blue Sky, whatever goes on over there. But a lot of them are in chat rooms on podcasts like Candace Owens, and they just feed off of this stuff. And they have a lot of hatred towards Charlie Kirk, which I don't really understand, especially everything that he's gone through, which mean, you know, he lost his life, a young guy who lost his life, and they just say terrible things and want to believe terrible things. So a lot of this is that old Twitter mob type mentality that is in these podcast chat rooms. And, you know, Candace Owens gets so many millions of views. She gets a lot of views because obviously she's one of the most famous women in the world. But I think most people tune in because she's nuts. And because she's so crazy, people tune in to hear how far things are going to go with her, right? And that's a lot of what we see. All right, now, if you'd like to call in, you're certainly welcome. I got a lot of other topics I'm going to cover on the program today. You're certainly welcome to call in about anything I bring up. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, annuities are absolutely amazing, okay? You know, when you put your money into an annuity, your money is never at risk, no matter what happens in the market. There could be a Great Depression. Your money in an annuity will be 100% safe. And you're guaranteed a check each and every month for the rest of your life. With an annuity, you're in effect giving yourself a pension. You're creating an income stream, and that money gets deposited into your bank account every month for the rest of your life on that same day every month. It's amazing, and it's great, and it's a great way to increase your monthly income, have a revenue stream, and get involved in financial planning and in financial investment in a no-risk way. There's no risk with an annuity. Call Jupiter Joe Thomas, schedule your no-charge consultation, and you could take advantage of the no-charge consultation no matter where you are located. All right? Now, if you're local here in Florida and you want to meet with him in his office in person in Jupiter, please do that. But if you can't make it to Jupiter, that's okay. You can take advantage of the no-charge consultation over the phone or through Zoom or a video call on another platform. It doesn't matter. Give Joe Thomas a call, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com, and you'll find the number right there, jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back.
What happens when a group of complete strangers are thrown together and forced to rely on each other? Find out in the new book from author Helen MacArthur, Super Route 7, Ride or Die, available on Amazon. This darkly funny novel takes readers on a journey filled with unforgettable characters, unexpected twists, unlikely friendships, and the kind of secrets people spend their lives trying to hide. Written by veteran journalist and magazine writer Helen MacArthur, Super Route 7 blends humor, heartbreak, suspense, and sharp observations about the choices we make and the baggage we carry with us. If you enjoy character-driven stories with wit, mystery, and plenty of surprises along the way, Super Route 7 is a ride you'll want to take. Super Route 7, Ride or Die, from author Helen MacArthur, is available right now on Amazon and free with Kindle Unlimited. Get on board and order your copy right now.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you, what a concept, now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
One mother's fight over adoption fraud and child trafficking has inspired a powerful new book series calling for greater government accountability. The Colorado Government Book Series from author Lindsay Schaefer. It's a deeply personal collection based on her own experiences and years of legal and personal battles. From The Missing, which covers where her daughter was kidnapped and child human trafficked out of the state of Colorado. Imperium Conflictus, which features a 14-year disability case and spousal support case, and Warranty of Habitability, where Lindsay describes the unlivable conditions she found helping the poor, with 10 shelters in Denver, Colorado having mold and asbestos. Author Lindsay Schaefer shares her perspective on child custody, disability benefits, homelessness, and the challenges she faced while seeking justice. If you're searching for a thought-provoking book series that raises the difficult questions and encourages readers to think for themselves, order the Colorado Government Book Series from author Lindsay Schaefer online at payhip.com/Lindsay777. That's payhip.com/777.
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian, and this, of course, is The Brian Craig Show, available wherever you get podcasts. And if you want to catch the show live in video form, that's on YouTube. Just search for The Brian Craig Show wherever you get your podcast. Okay. So there was an ICE-involved shooting that is getting all kinds of publicity, very one-sided. An illegal from Mexico who's been in the United States for 35 years was shot dead by ICE. We don't want to see anyone lose their life, but, when people get stopped by ICE, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that ICE are federal police officers and have the authority of federal agents because they're federal police officers. And this guy, he's got kids and a family and a job, and ICE knew about him. They followed him as he was on his way to work, and he had picked up some guys that worked on the construction site, who I'm assuming were illegal too. ICE stopped him, blocked them in, and the guy continued to try to drive off and run over the officers. And the officers fired, and he ended up losing his life. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. But when anyone, if I sped away from police officers and tried to run them over or ram their vehicles with my car, they would do the same thing to me too. And, you know, for this guy who's been evading justice for 35 years as an illegal from Mexico in the United States, he and the guys in his car, they knew that if they got a hold of them and they got apprehended by ICE, that was it. They were leaving the United States, probably forever, but at least 20 years. So, you know, that when people are stopped by the police and they're going to lose their freedom, they get crazed. Now, there's a little bit of footage has come out, not too much. This is from a local news station that covered. I'm going to play for you. The ICE agents do have body cams. Those have not been released to the public yet. I'm hoping they will be soon, because this case is starting to get bigger and bigger. His family, they were on TV crying today. But this video came out from the local news. He's in a white van, and you can see that he's ramming and speeding away the best that he can from the ICE officers. He escalated the incident. And I'm watching, a lot of the coverage is from local news out west. And of course, because of it's liberal out west. But on top of just being liberal, they're also pro-illegal aliens, right? And that's kind of like their market. These local news stations in California, Arizona, and everything else, a lot of their advertising dollars probably come from businesses that rely on illegals for all kinds of things, customers, labor, everything else. So they have a very pro illegal alien perspective. And these sad incidents, Renee Good, who was the other guy, Preddy, and now this, you know, the Preddy had a gun. He got into a physical altercation with federal agents, ICE officers. He had a gun, and they did what they did. Renee Good, like this guy, and that was the illegal. Renee Good tried to run over a federal agent. That's why she got shot. These are all tragedies. But what's happened, you got, you know, what's happened are the people that are either the illegals or the white liberal saviors who have become a part of their movement, like Preddy and Renee Good. These white liberal lunatics, they've all been brainwashed, okay? And this is what they think. And this is insanity, complete insanity, okay? First off, they do believe that all these people have a right to be here and that ICE are Nazis. They believe that ICE are racist, even though a bunch of them, in fact, it seems most of them, in a lot of these instances, are Spanish-speaking Hispanics, these ICE agents. And the Renee Good and her girlfriend, and Preddy, who got killed, the reason that they're in the front fighting the officers is because they're so brainwashed in their liberalism, they think that because they're white, the officers they can do whatever they want. They believe they have white privilege, according to the ICE officers, and they can resist, they can fight back, they can do all this stuff, and they'll be safe. Well, they found out that everybody that resists federal agents, that you can get shot and killed. The coverage I'm watching from the local news stations in California, I think with this recent ICE shooting, some of the things they say, well, he's been here for 35 years, and he has American children who were born in this country, you know, as if that allows him to be here. You know, there's a sense in their mind, and it's the brainwashing from the left. Excuse me, guys. It's the brainwashing from the left that makes them feel as if that they have a right to be here when they don't. This is the local news covering the incident.
Over. You can see Salgado here making a U-turn. There it is right there. The white van makes the U-turn as you're going to see the unmarked car here in black trying to force.
See, he knows they're federal agents. They're trying to block him in. He knows what's going on, and he's evading in the vehicle.
Him over. You can see Salgado here making a U-turn. There it is right there. The white van makes the U-turn as you're going to see the unmarked car here in black trying to force the car going the opposite direction. Now, this is right before Salgado is ultimately shot. You're going to see the SUV pull over. Here's a closer look in front of the van after the truck passes by. Salgado makes the U-turn. He reverses for a moment. He heads west, him over.
Yeah. So, it's and they like to say, well, he's not armed. I've got news for you. A van, like Renee Good's SUV, these are very powerful and deadly weapons. People can be killed with a car. It happens all the time. A car is a deadly weapon if you use it as a deadly weapon. So when you're ramming police cars or attempting or threatening to run over federal agents, you're threatening them with a deadly weapon, your van, your SUV, your car. Now, this isn't new with the illegals. I've seen many times over the years where local police have been in incidents and somebody would come at them at a car, they would shoot them, and they would say, well, they were unarmed. No, they had a car. A car is a deadly weapon if you use it as that. Now, a lot of the migrants, the illegals that are here, I mean, I'm not a heartless guy. I understand where some of them are coming from, but, it's like President Trump says, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. Why do I need a passport? We take our MAGA cruise every year. We stop off in these Caribbean islands and have a great time. I can't get on the ship without a passport. Why? Why do I need documents to go to Aruba for the afternoon? Right? Why? Because it's another country, and no one questions that. It's just the way it is, But the illegals have convinced themselves that they have a manifest destiny, that they're entitled. There used to be a group. I don't know if they're still active because I haven't heard about them anymore. But do any of you remember La Raza? They were the big illegal activist organization back in the 80s and 90s. And they were kind of like the 1619 Project. They got involved in the education system. And what they were teaching kids in California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, places like that, and what they were convincing the illegals is that the entire Southwest United States, California, Texas, all those areas, Arizona, Nevada, is U.S.-occupied Mexican territory. That it is their land and they're entitled to be there. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And they would actually distribute maps of North America that would show that area, California, Texas, the whole Southwest, as Mexico. It was insane, and they would distribute these maps and convince people to do it. Listen, I saw this on X today. Here's a guy. There was an ice raid at his factory, and he's talking about what's going on at the factory. This is I think, I'm not sure if this is North or South Carolina. I can't remember, but it's in one of the Carolinas, and he's talking about the factory after ICE came.
When you look around and there's nobody there, it's dead. It's dead. I mean, we went from having 100 employees working in there to we might have had 24 there today. It's sad. Had a gun, and he pointed it at me like that. He said, "You are putting those cuffs on." And I look at him, and I'm, "Are you going to shoot me?" And I stuck my arms out there like that. Never seen nothing like that in my life. That's the only time I've ever had a gun pointed at me in my life. I didn't know what was going on, and I heard people screaming. So I walk into the machine shop, and there's 50, 60 agents in there.
Okay. So, just based on the accent, I'm going to guess that he's South Carolina. Does that sound like a South Carolina accent to you? So he had 100 employees. Now he's got 24, 25 because of ICE. All right? And of the 24, 25, some of them may be illegals, but they need the job. well, maybe he should hire Americans. I guess he's going to have to start hiring Americans. And, you know, what's going on here, this guy who's being presented in the media as a man with a good heart who cares about these people, he doesn't care. What he's talking about here is he has slave workers. He probably is from South Carolina with that accent. You know, South Carolina, the heart of the Confederacy. A lot of plantations in South Carolina. But the illegals in places like this guy's factory, they are modern day 21st century 2026 slaves. It's slavery different than the old slavery. They get paid slave wages, but they want the cheap labor without any benefits, without any of that. It's modern day slavery. There's no question about it. And all these bleeding heart liberals like this guy here, whatever a bleeding heart liberal is, they're the opposite. But the media, they want to hear these stories. So think about that. That's 75 jobs created by President Trump by just that one raid right there. Yeah, exactly. All right, now listen, I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to cover, so don't go anywhere, guys. My name's Brian. This is The Brian Craig Show, available wherever you get podcast. We'll be right back.
What if the greatest threat to a kingdom wasn't an invading army, but the loss of memory itself? From author Fakhri Bey comes the new epic fantasy, The Vayrith Cycle, the crown that forgot its king, available on Amazon. In a kingdom where every crown holds power and every name shapes reality, a royal tax collector arrives in a quiet village where everyone knows they have a king, but no one can remember his name. As memories disappear, ancient forces awaken, and a mysterious creature begins consuming not people, but crowns themselves. One disgraced nobleman must uncover a secret buried for centuries before the very idea of kingship vanishes forever. If you enjoy rich world building, political intrigue, dark mythology, morally complex heroes, and sweeping fantasy adventures, The Vayrith Cycle is your next must-read book. Order your copy right now on Amazon, in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. The Vayrith Cycle, the crown that forgot its king, from author Fakhri Bey on Amazon. Are you looking for jewelry that's as unique as you are? Then check out Kita Luxury on Etsy, where every piece is handcrafted with passion, artistry, and the natural beauty of genuine crystals and gemstones. Inspired by a love for one-of-a-kind bohemian designs, Kita Luxury was created with a simple mission to make extraordinary handmade jewelry accessible to everyone. Behind every creation is a talented team of skilled artisans, each bringing their custom expertise to metalwork, stone cutting, beading, and fine jewelry craftsmanship to produce stunning wearable works of art. Whether you're searching for a breathtaking statement necklace, elegant earrings, handcrafted bracelets, beautiful rings, or meaningful jewelry for both men and women, you'll discover pieces that celebrate your individuality and personal style. Every design is carefully handcrafted using high-quality, natural materials, creating jewelry that's more than an accessory. It's a reflection of who you are. Whether you're shopping for yourself or searching for the perfect gift, Kita Luxury offers timeless handcrafted jewelry designed to inspire, delight, and be treated for years to come. These healing crystals are some of the best healing jewelry on Etsy. Visit KetaLuxury.etsy.com. That's KEETA luxury.etsy.com. KetaLuxury.etsy.com. Handcrafted jewelry that tells your story. KetaLuxury.etsy.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I want to talk about Tom Laporta over at Laporta Roofing. Tom Laporta has been with us for many, many years. He does incredible work, and we found him out of necessity. Steve Kane had a wet spot on his ceiling, and he ignored it. And he ignored it so long that he had to get a whole new roof. 40% of the drywall in his home was infected with deadly black mold. So that all had to be replaced. The moisture from the leak, the water, created a breeding ground for termites, so they were eating what was left of his house. And Tom Laporta, who's more than just a roofer, he's also a contractor. He did all these repairs, the roof, the drywall, everything that Steve had to get done. But you know, He's a good MAGA guy, Tom Laporta, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. And you don't want to do what Steve Kane did. You want to, when you get that first leak in your roof, that first wet spot on your ceiling, you want to call Tom Laporta. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He works with every type of roofing material and every type of structure, residential, commercial, and municipal. He even does specialty roofs like church roofs and such. You come out there, he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. And if Steve would have called when he saw that first wet spot on his ceiling, he would have just probably had to have a minor repair. Now, the house looks beautiful, and it's certainly a showpiece of his block now. But still, he could have avoided all that if he would have called Tom. Now, this number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, so you can call or text 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602. And online at LaportaRoofing.com. All right, now, there's so many stories come out, and I'm like, this can't be real. This has got to be AI or actors. And, you know, with AI, I don't know if you all have this experience. I see some things, and I'm like, this just can't be real. This is so insane that it's got to be AI or some actors acting things out. That happens too sometimes. And I saw this video that I'm going to share with you earlier today, and my first thought was, this is fake. And then it got picked up in the media, and I was shocked at how real it is. This is Fort Worth, Texas, in 2026. Listen to this.
Pretty loud. So we can use it up to that ordinance means like music, not talking. If someone is offended by your talking, then we have a problem.
That is a constitutional violation of our rights. If you shut us down,
no. If they are offended.
So what's happened here is there's a Christian man. He's on the street saying Christian things. Someone called the police, and she's saying because he's offending people that he could be removed.
Pretty loud. So we can use it up
that ordinance
decibels.
means like music, not talking. If someone is offended by your talking, then we have a problem.
That is a constitutional violation of our rights. If you shut us down,
no. If they are offended by your speech, okay, then I'll write you the ticket, and then we'll go from there.
Wait, you're going to take us for offensive speech?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you serious?
See, when I saw this, I'm like, this is BS. There is no way that a police officer in the United States, you might see this in Canada, you know, but in America, I think there's no way a police officer in 2026 would write someone a ticket for offending someone. What would be the ordinance you would even put on that citation? You know, liberals think that they have a constitutional guarantee to not be offended. And I'll tell you this, thank the Lord above, the Founding Fathers didn't put that in the Constitution, because liberals are always offended, aren't they?
By your speech. Okay, then I'll write you the ticket, and then we'll go from there.
Wait, you're going to take us for offensive speech?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you serious?
Speech. You're going to cite us for offensive speech.
It's called disorderly conduct.
That's no. Disorderly conduct has to be accompanied by conduct.
This is the conduct
I'm
that you're
a retired
doing.
police officer myself.
For who?
26 years, federal law enforcement.
So it's federal. So this has nothing to do with local.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with local.
Yeah. Well,
do whatever you all think that you can do.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you another thing here. Look at this woman, this lady police officer. She has zero respect for retired law enforcement. There's not even like any connection or bond with her and this guy, 26-year federal agent.
Whatever we think. Wow.
It says 80 decibels.
Since y'all know the law so well, I'm not going to let y'all do
So I just want to clarify. If anything is said that's offensive, you're going to write a ticket?
If someone complains that your language or what you're saying is offensive.
That's crazy. You know, I remember there was a pornography ruling many years ago in the Supreme Court. So long ago, Scalia was on the Supreme Court, and he ruled in favor of the pornographers. He was a very conservative guy, and I can't remember what the exact case was, but they were talking about whether or not someone could sit on a park bench and watch pornography, like online. And Scalia said they could. It's free expression, free speech, freedom, and everything else. And, there's a big difference between and using profanities and dirty words, as and Scalia supported all this. And there's such a difference between conservatives and liberals when it comes to most everything. But when it comes to our constitutional liberties, and conservatives will support your constitutional right to do whatever stupid thing you're doing, no matter how much we disapprove of it or how much it offends us or is disgusting, or you don't want your kids' eyes to see it or ears to hear it. But we'll support it because the liberals, on the other hand, it might have been a Larry Flynt case. Yeah, it could have been the Larry Flynt case. It's been a long time. But liberals, if they don't like what you're doing, what you're saying, or what you're thinking, that's it. And, with this lady police officer, as outrageous as this is, she was an average police officer in 2020, wasn't she? I couldn't believe right here in Florida, in a liberal county, but right here in Florida, during the shutdowns, the local sheriff in Hillsborough County, which is where Tampa, Florida is located, which is on the Gulf of America coast, arrested a pastor because he was preaching in his church. Remember that? He sent out the deputies. There were police in New York, not New York City, I can't remember where near, but in New York State, police went into a house and arrested Jews and pulled Jews out of a house because there were too many Jews in the house during the required distancing ordinances. Remember all of that? And, what I remember most about that period, and all of us have different memories and focus on different things, but what was so frightening to me in 2020 was how out of control local governments and local police forces got. I remember in California, and I showed this on the podcast, this particular, all these things I'm talking about, I talked about on the program here. I remember there was, and I saw this happen in Florida. In Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, which is a Democrat town in Florida, the mayor was walking around with a local inspector, and they were shutting down businesses that were open and serving customers, restaurants, during the lockdowns. I saw a similar thing happen in California, code enforcement officers going around just really almost like enjoying what they were doing. And the people complied too, all over the country. It was crazy. We talk all so much about our civil liberties and fighting for our civil liberties. And in 2020, people just totally caved, and the police cracked out. Like, I remember one morning, and I'm sure I showed this on YouTube at the time. I'm pretty sure I did. I went to the, Florida's a red state, but there's a lot of Democrat counties and cities in it, okay? And I went to the beach by my house during the lockdown period. You weren't allowed to go on the beach by yourself. Can you imagine? Outside, the beach is like a park on the ocean. You couldn't go. And the local Democrat municipality, local mayor, had police officers at the beach sitting in their police cruisers to stop you from going to the beach, and no one resisted. It's really scary, the amount of power and authority we handed over to people. And this lady cop here, she's scary to me. How can she have a gun and a badge with the authorities that go along with that and not understand really our most basic liberty of all, and that's free speech? Now it's one thing if you're on the sidewalk and you're creating a lot of noise and you're disruptive, but if you're speaking, no matter what you're speaking, it's okay because it's America, and she has no idea. And that's in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas. She's probably a Tallarico voter, I would imagine, huh? Now, if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description. And when you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to a lot of exclusive things, including commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes, my exclusive daily live streams that are on the Patreon platform just for Patreon supporters. And I talk about things I cannot under any circumstance talk about here. And it's a great community. It's a troll-free zone. No liberals allowed in the Patreon community. And it's much like YouTube. There's a live chat there, and it's a great group and community of people. And I really enjoy those live streams. And I pretty much have a live stream every day, sometimes multiple times a day there. And if you go to my Patreon page, again, the link's in the description, you'll see an option to join for free. If you join for free, you don't have access to any of the content. You have to be a paying Patreon supporter, which starts at just $5 a month. And not only do you get access to everything that I do after that, you get access to the entire back catalog of everything I've ever posted on the Patreon page, which goes back many, many years of content, but you get everything new, of course. If you become a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, Rick, Michael, and Robert R. Thanks so much. Those are my top Patreon supporters. If you're new to my program, welcome. Make sure you subscribe. I'm live every morning of the week, 7 days a week. And I'm always in the studio every weekday morning taking live calls, and most afternoons as well. All right. And those of you that have already subscribed, please like the video, guys. Liking the video helps grow the channel so much. It gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found my channel. So liking the video helps so much. And those of you that have been doing that, thank you, and please continue to do so. All right. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning before the sun comes up. Take care.